Section 11. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Yun wanted to see just how much he could upgrade his place at this stage. The sun had already dipped below the horizon, leaving only a sliver of light on the distant sea. Twilight was setting in less than half an hour, it would be completely dark. The barbecue he'd set up was ready, the cooked pieces of meat sent up fragrant waves of heat, tempting anyone nearby. He called the 5 workers and the mechanic over for dinner, his first meal in the Black Turtle realm. The menu: roast pork, roast fish, and roast potatoes. It wasn't gourmet, lacking seasonings to really kick up the flavor. But it was surprisingly satisfying. In this desolate world, it was a feast. When Lu Yun summoned everyone, the 5 workers, all muscle-bound and huge, lumbered over. The green-skinned giants sniffed the aroma rising from the cooked meat, their eyes gleamed, and they swallowed hard, clearly ravenous. Only the human mechanic remained composed. He was calm, showing no sign of being overwhelmed. "All right, everyone, dig in. From now on, you're working with me, and there will be plenty to eat," Lu Yun said. Though they weren't the sharpest tools in the shed, Lu Yun still tried to encourage them. "Thank you, Master, for the food. We'll definitely work hard." The workers responded eagerly, reaching for the barbecue. As long as they were fed, they'd work tirelessly for him, and a good meal meant more energy. This barbecue was proof they were eating well. They were thrilled and resolved to redouble their efforts for Lu Yun. The 5 hulking workers dove in, devouring their food. The mechanic ate slowly and deliberately. Maybe he just wasn't hungry yet. Seeing how much everyone enjoyed it, Lu Yun grabbed a piece himself. He bit into the fish, and wow! The grilling was perfect, charred on the outside, tender inside. With some onion, ginger, and garlic, it would be incredible. Food like this made him happy. Lu Yun realized that living in the Black Turtle realm might not be so bad. He could leave in a month after all, and once he passed the rookie assessment, he'd be an official member, free to come and go as he pleased. It would cost him something, but still, Lu Yun decided that even after the trial period, he'd spend more time here. He felt no connection to Tianlu Star, no family, no friends, not even a place to live. He had nothing. Living on the streets was not living. Better to stay in the Black Turtle world and build his own city. A better house meant better results. After dinner, Lu Yun was stuffed. The workers could really put it away, still chowing down. Good thing he'd grilled a ton of food. There was enough for everyone, with some leftovers for a midnight snack. Currently, Lu Yun's Black Turtle housed 10 basic warehouses, 8 single cabins, a labor camp, a mechanic cabin, and a militia camp. 21 buildings in total. Looking around at the cluster of huts, it was starting to resemble a small tribe. Not bad. Turtle City is starting to feel like a real town, Lu Yun thought with pride. He'd built it all himself, which made it even better. He decided to construct everything he'd unlocked but hadn't yet built. The tool room would boost the mechanic's efficiency. Lu Yun immediately started construction. Simple kitchen, simple woodshed, simple bathhouse, simple thatched house. Of these, he only built the kitchen and woodshed. Water was too scarce to waste on bathing. For now, the ocean would have to do, and a simple shelter seemed unnecessary too. Once Turtle City grew larger and bathing and using the restroom became a hassle, he'd think about these. Finally, there was the double wooden residential house. Its description read, "A standard residence, better than a single cabin. Residents living here will be happier and work more efficiently. Capacity slightly increased." Housing has an effect. Does that mean better living conditions boost morale and productivity? Lu Yun realized there was more to it than just a roof over their heads. Better living arrangements meant better results. That was enough to know. Lu Yun felt the urge to scrap the single cabins, but there was no rush. He'd wait until more people arrived and better housing was unlocked, then he'd tear down the first 10 single cabins. Lu Yun chose a spot and built 5 double wooden residential houses. They were noticeably larger and grander than the single cabins, clearly a step up. Of course, the cost was higher, 400 would just to build, and upgrades were pricier too. Few newcomers could afford such expensive housing, let alone mass-produce it, so, Lu Yun now had 10 single cabins and 5 double rooms. Enough for 20 residents. Should he recruit more? Lu Yun thought about it and decided against it. He'd wait until he could recruit higher-level workers. For now, he had to wait for the upgrades to finish. There was nothing else to do. He wondered if there was a way to speed up construction. Lu Yun spent the rest of the time relaxing. He opened the chat room and watched people brag and gossip, gleaning useful information. Not everyone was talking about trivial stuff. Some discussed development strategies, Lu Yun silently observed, filing away anything that might be useful. After their feast, the workers and mechanics spontaneously returned to their tasks. Section 12. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even though it was late, they were still buzzing with energy. They fired up a bonfire near their work site and kept chopping trees and digging up stones. Seeing his crew working so hard, Lu Yun couldn't just stand around. He figured he'd take a walk along the beach while there was still some light to see if he could snag some seafood, crabs, shrimp, maybe an octopus, some scallops, clams, lobster, abalone, that sort of thing. Those critters aren't exactly Olympic athletes, so usually, if you see you can grab with a little luck, he should be able to catch something. He wasn't expecting a huge haul, but multiplied by 100, it could be pretty sweet. 0017 Leaving the Novice Resource Island. Lu Yun made a makeshift torch and started patrolling the pretty small Novice Resource Island. Before long, he reached a reef. Scattered here and there were little shells and lobsters clinging to the wet rocks. There wasn't much, but Lu Yun wasn't about to let anything go to waste. He scooped it all up in one net. Most players hang around this newbie island for over a week, and the black turtle needs to eat during that time, too, so there ought to be a decent amount of food on the whole island. Finding a few shellfish and sea creatures here and there was exactly what Lu Yun expected. For Lu Yun, every little bit counts. Multiply it by 100, and you're talking real value. Torch in hand, Lu Yun wasn't expecting much more, but then, in a little tide pool between some reefs, he saw something weird. There was a sizable octopus all wrapped around a small shark. They were tangled up tight, and the little shark looked like it was about to become octopus lunch. But since Lu Yun showed up, it was a classic case of two fighting over something, and someone else walks away with it. Lu Yun didn't hesitate. He reached in, grabbed the octopus and the shark, and headed back, a happy camper. That octopus was heavy, at least 20 pounds, the shark was probably 10 or 12 pounds, just like that, Lu Yun had over 30 pounds of seafood. He stashed it in the warehouse, and just like that, more octopuses and sharks started popping up. You get octopus meat x 20 pounds, you get shark meat x 11 pounds, you get octopus meat x 20 pounds, you get shark meat x 11 pounds, you get octopus meat x 20 pounds, you get shark meat x 11 pounds, you get octopus meat x 20 pounds, you get shark meat x 11 pounds. After multiplying each one 100 times, he ended up with 100 octopuses and 100 sharks, a total of around 3,000 pounds of seafood. Then he threw in a pound of shells like worms and scallops and copied those 100 times. Suddenly, he had enough shellfish for a feast. Lu Yun was stoked with the haul from his little walk. The night was getting late. The 5 workers were still at it, probably fueled by that barbecue dinner. Lu Yun was pleased. As long as they were willing to work, he wasn't going to stop them. After all, there wasn't much wood and stone left on the island. If they could get it all tonight, that'd be awesome. Then, first thing in the morning, they could ditch this newbie island and check out some new waters. Lu Yun was pumped to see what else the Black Turtle Realm had in store. It was a long night, and he wasn't planning on sleeping. He chilled in the chat room, watching everyone talk, while he waited for the buildings to level up. As soon as a building was ready, he'd jump on it and upgrade it another level. Sometime in the middle of the night, he finally crashed, too tired to keep going. The labor camp and militia camp were already level 3. It would take 5 hours to upgrade. The technician's hut was upgraded to level 2, unlocking the cooking technician. But Lu Yun hadn't recruited anyone yet. Since there was no need for cooking at night, he figured he'd wait till morning to make breakfast. Then, when he tried to upgrade the technician's hut to level 3, he realized he needed clay tiles, which he didn't have. Bummer. The next day, Lu Yun woke up just as the sun was popping up over the horizon. He checked out the turtle's back, and all the workers were still asleep. Who knows when they finally knocked off last night. Last he saw, they were still plugging away. He went to the warehouse, and all 10 level 5 warehouses were jammed full. Lu Yun was blown away. How long did these guys work? How did they get so much stuff in the warehouse? Would X31350 stone x18340. Almost 50,000 basic resources. Seeing that the warehouses were about to burst, Lu Yun upgraded all 10 to level 6 in one go. That boosted their capacity a ton. After that, he'd keep upgrading to level 7 and level 8 until he couldn't anymore. He was just collecting resources too fast. Looking over at the island, Lu Yun grinned. It was completely stripped bare, not a single tree left. Seeing that, the 5 workers must have cleaned out the island and crashed for the night. With no more resources, there was no point in staying on this newbie island. He told the black turtle to take off. 0018 epic 5-star treasure chest. The massive black turtle got the message and heaved itself up. All 4 limbs dug into the sand. Then, the giant turtle lumbered into the sea, one step at a time, farther and farther from the beach. The black turtle finally floated on the water. Then, it kicked it into high gear and sped off into the vast ocean. As the newbie resource island disappeared into the distance, Lu Yun felt a pang of nostalgia. After all, it was where he'd started. Now they were parting ways, probably for good. Then, a message popped up in his head. You are guiding your black turtle, sailing away from your novice resource island. Are you sure you want to leave? Please note that once you leave Novice Island, it will automatically disappear. Lu Yun was surprised. So, that was a thing. The Novice Island just vanishes. Well, whatever, he wasn't sticking around just because of that. Confirm. As Lu Yun made the call, the little island behind him vanished, nothing there but open water. Right after that, another message appeared. Congrats. You've finally left the newbie island. You've completed the first stage. You're one step closer to becoming the official Black Turtle City Lord. The system is calculating the time it took you to complete all the main quests on Newcomer Island. Section 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You shattered the record in the Black Turtle world. Your time completing Newcomer Island's main story is the fastest ever. Your achievement will be etched on the record monument for all to see. You've earned a record-breaking reward, an epic 5-star treasure chest. Do you want to announce your new record to the whole Black Turtle world? Wait, there are records. And record rewards. Lu Yun exclaimed, surprised. He realized that breaking more records could lead to more rewards down the line, but publicizing this record? Lu Yun thought his pace was way too fast, almost unnatural. If he made it public, people would be all over him, trying to figure out how he did it. That kind of scrutiny could be dangerous, so he decided to keep it under wraps. Suddenly, a large metal treasure chest, glowing purple, materialized at his feet. Lu Yun immediately checked it out, and lines of purple text shimmered on its surface. Epic treasure chest. Grade, mortal, current known, heaven, earth, Xian, mortal. Higher levels may exist. In the Black Turtle world, treasure chests come in different tiers, from lowest to highest: bronze, black iron, silver, gold, golden glow, diamond, green glow, excellent, blue glow, epic, purple glow, legendary, red glow, mythic, black glow. Each tier is further divided into 5 stars. More stars mean better quality within that tier. Generally, the higher the tier and star rating, the better the loot. But luck plays a part. Sometimes, a low-tier chest can drop something amazing, while a high-tier chest might not always give you the goods. After reading the description, Lu Yun finally understood how treasure chests were ranked in the Black Turtle world. His reward, a mortal grade, 5-star epic chest, was pretty awesome. What could be inside? Lu Yun was hyped. Without hesitation, he popped it open. You opened an epic 5-star treasure chest and obtained, due to unforeseen circumstances, you've received a 100x critical hit. Prize has been urgently replaced. You receive a mythic dwarf hero recruitment coupon. You receive the legendary weapon, Sun-Destroying Dragon Bow, along with 100 Sun-Destroying Dragon Arrows. You receive 10 9th grade healing potions. Lu Yun raced to his storage warehouse. Sure enough, all the rewards were there in a relatively empty corner. He spotted a massive metal bow on the ground, made of some unknown material. It was crimson like jade, crystal clear, and breathtakingly beautiful. The whole thing was carved like a single piece of red jade, its shape both majestic and intimidating. This is one seriously good bow. Lu Yun thought, already in love with its look. He tried to pick it up, it didn't budge. Holy crap, this thing is heavy. Lu Yun, surprised, grabbed it with both hands and strained with all his might. He pulled and pulled, his face turning red, but the giant crimson bow remained stubbornly on the ground. Seriously? This thing weighs a ton. Who can lift it? Just lifting it was a struggle, let alone drawing it. Was this bow going to be useless to him? He had this amazing artifact, but he couldn't even wield it. Sighing, he decided to stash it in the warehouse for now, hoping he'd be strong enough to use it someday. He took one last look at its stats. Item: Sun-destroying dragon bow. Grade, mortal. Quality, legendary. Skill, true dragon's fury. Description: forged from perfect fire jade, this bow possesses immense power. Next to the bow was a ceramic bottle. It contained 10 9th-grade healing potions. According to the description, these things were incredibly potent. They could almost instantly heal injuries caused by mortal-level abilities. However, against injuries from Xian-level abilities, their effectiveness would be greatly reduced. So, things aren't the only ones split into heaven, earth, Xian, and mortal levels. Abilities are too. Lu Yun reasoned. Right now, anyone I'm up against is going to be using mortal-level stuff anyway. These potions are going to be a lifesaver. In the corner, he found the final reward from the epic chest, a mythic dwarf hero recruitment coupon. It was about the size of his palm, maybe 8 inches long. It shimmered with an alluring dark light, radiating mystery. He checked its description. Turns out, heroes in the Black Turtle world were also ranked into 4 tiers: Heaven, Earth, Xian, Mortal, and within each tier were 9 levels. 1. Black Iron Hero. 2. Bronze Hero. 3. Silver Hero. 4. Gold Hero. 5. Diamond Hero. 6. Excellent Hero. 7. Epic Hero. 8. Legendary Hero. 9. Mythic Hero. This coupon could summon a mortal level, mythic hero, specifically, a dwarf hero. I wonder who I'll get. Let's use it. You have used the mythic dwarf hero recruitment coupon. Congratulations. You have obtained Forging God Joseph Jean. A silver-white orb of light appeared. From a tiny point, it expanded into an elliptical portal about 6 feet tall. Out stepped a dwarf, barely 4.5 feet tall, but built like a brick house. He immediately bowed to Lu Yun and said, "Greetings, Master. I am your servant, Joseph Jean." Lu Yun, trying to act cool and collected, asked, "Hello, Joseph Jean. What are your skills?" Joseph Jean replied, "Master, I specialize in metal forging. Among the dwarves, I'm known as the god of forging. There's nothing I can't forge, as long as you provide the materials." Lu Yun nodded. That was a super useful skill, exactly what he needed. They'd be entering the metal age soon, and they'd need tons of metal weapons. Handcrafting them just wouldn't cut it. Having a god-level forging master create weapons and armor would guarantee unparalleled quality, far surpassing anything else. He then asked, "Besides forging, do you have any other skills? Like, fighting?" Joseph Jean said humbly, "Master, I've dedicated my life to the art of forging. Combat is not my strong suit. But if push comes to shove, I'm not afraid to join the fight." Good, good. You can go relax for now. I don't need anything at the moment. I have a lot to do. Understood, Master. I shall not disturb you further. Section 14. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Joseph King went off by himself to the edge of the Black Turtle's back, just taking in the scenery down by the beach. The sun had just peeked over the horizon, and the view was gorgeous. Lu Yun, though, had a ton on his plate, starting with breakfast, which wasn't even started yet. His 5 workhorses had really outdone themselves yesterday, going above and beyond. They deserved a hearty breakfast as a reward. Time to head straight to the technician's hut. He hired 2 cooking technicians. 200 kilograms of potatoes. Soon, a chef emerged from the technician's hut. Another cooking technician followed close behind. The 2 technicians gave Lu Yun a respectful salute, and he put them to work on breakfast. Now, with these 2 working together, the city lord wouldn't have to worry about making 3 meals a day anymore. 0020 chasing the sun. Yesterday, Lu Yun had bumped the hard labor camp and militia camp up to level 2, starting with the level 1 upgrade. That took 5 hours. Now that a night had passed, the upgrade should be complete. Since upgrading the barracks strengthens the low-level recruits, Lu Yun wanted to beef up his level 1 laborers and their skills. He went to the dormitory, but found all 5 level 1 laborers still sound asleep, not a peep, which made sense. They'd worked their tails off until late last night. He didn't have the heart to wake them, so he let them sleep in. Even if the laborers weren't exactly Mensa material, they were still his people, and as the Lord of Black Turtle City, he needed to treat his people well. He was convinced that if he treated them right, they'd feel it and be more loyal, like last night, when he'd laid out a killer barbecue spread, and they'd immediately jumped into overtime, getting tons more done. He swung by the technician's room and saw that the technician was already up, so he called him over to the technician's hut, and paid the difference to upgrade him to level 2. 70 caddies of potatoes. Lu Yun beeline to the worker camp and militia camp to see what resources were needed to upgrade them again. Turns out they both needed clay tiles, so those 2 buildings were stuck. All the buildings were bottlenecked by materials like clay tiles. Burning those tiles ASAP had to be the priority. He could recruit level 3 laborers and militia now. A level 3 laborer costs 200 kilograms of food, same for the militia. Lu Yun thought about it. Stuck out at sea, there was no place to gather resources. No point in hiring more laborers just to burn through food. He'd wait until they found a new resource island, but a few militia were definitely needed. Sailing the seas wasn't exactly risk-free. Sometimes you run into sea monsters, sometimes flying monsters, and sometimes all kinds of other weird monsters, so a few militia were necessary for protection. Lu Yun started recruiting, clicking on 5 right away. 200 gene of potatoes, 200 gene of potatoes, 200 gene of potatoes, 200 gene of octopus meat, 200 gene of octopus meat. Just like that, another 1000 gene of food was gone. Feeding an army, especially a high-level one, really eats into your resources. Each level 3 militia took 5 minutes to recruit. Finally, 5 minutes later, the first militia strode out of the militia camp, a beefy western dude. He looked like Garen from Dalmatia if he was dancing with a broadsword, judging by his size. He was strong and capable, but he was wearing a thin white shirt, with no weapons or armor. Looks like the militia camp just kicks out the recruits. They don't provide the gear. Makes sense. If they can't make weapons, where would the replacements come from? They'd have to figure out the weapon situation themselves. Luckily, the laborers could whip up some stone spears, which were better than nothing. Every 5 minutes, another militia popped out of the militia camp. The to-do list was just about empty. Now it was just a matter of waiting for the Black Turtle to find a new resource island. The Black Turtle was hauling ass across the sea at 13 knots. As long as the Black Turtle stayed fed, it could keep up that speed. Of course, running the turtle at full throttle burns more energy and makes it hungrier faster. Bottom line, it eats more food. Time ticked by, and about half an hour later, a new message popped up in Lu Yun's mind. You've drifted a ways at sea, leaving your newbie resource island by 10 nautical miles. To keep you from wandering aimlessly on the vast ocean, here are some navigation rules. Sailing towards the rising sun, due east, takes you into increasingly dangerous waters. Correspondingly, resources will be more plentiful, and development opportunities greater. Heading due west takes you to a safe zone. Players can't attack each other there, and there's no danger. But the resources are much scarcer. The choice to brave dangerous waters or retreat to the safe zone is yours. So, chasing the sun means chasing trouble. Good thing I was already headed that way this morning, a bit diagonally, but not by much. For Lu Yun, the bigger the challenge, the better. If he couldn't handle the heat in the newbie zone, no one could. 0021 mermaid sighting. With 2 cooking technicians on the job, Lu Yun, the city lord, felt a whole lot more relaxed, one step closer to chilling out and being a hands-off boss. The 2 technicians were already working together, starting on breakfast, since they had a real kitchen now. Complete with handcrafted, lightweight stone pots, they had more cooking options than just slapping meat on a grill. Boiled seafood was on the menu this morning. The octopus, small sharks, oysters, and everything else Lu Yun snagged last night would be put to good use. In under an hour, breakfast was ready. Lu Yun went and woke up the 5 laborers who were still conked out, then gathered everyone for the official start of the meal. Looking at the pint-sized hero Joseph King, 5 buff militiamen, 5 overweight laborers, 2 cooking technicians, and a manual technician, everyone was packed together. The camp had some serious talent, and a decent-sized crew, just a bunch of dudes. No pretty faces to liven things up, which was kind of a bummer. Gotta get some girls in here. Soon, Lu Yun promised himself. After everyone finished breakfast, Lu Yun took the 5 laborers to the Dong labor camp for their upgrade. After going from level 1 to level 2, they seemed noticeably taller. Section 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upgraded to level 3 after his stint in the hard labor camp, he was noticeably taller. The level 3 labor standing next to a level 1 was a stark comparison. The size difference was obvious, suggesting the level 3 was stronger and had more stamina. The black turtle, moving east at 13 knots, had been swimming steadily for hours. Its hunger was slowly creeping up. Luckily, Lu Yun had plenty of food to keep it at bay. As long as the turtle wasn't too hungry, it could maintain full speed. Out on the open ocean, there wasn't much to do on the turtle's back except hope they'd find another resource island soon. But noon came and went, and the afternoon dragged on. Still no sign of land. By sunset, Lu Yun and his crew were bored stiff. They'd set out early that morning, making it nearly 12 hours on the turtle. They'd covered at least 150 nautical miles, but still hadn't found a new island. Lu Yun checked the chat room, where people were slowly progressing. After a full day's work, most had finished their first building, the basic storage. Some of the faster players had started collecting wood for a single cabin, and a few had even built one. They were now gathering resources for the third building, the hard labor camp, but the camp required a hefty 300 wood and 100 stone, not something you could gather in a day or two. Plus, everyone was getting tired from the hard labor, and their stamina wasn't what it used to be. The black turtle was also starting to get hungry, requiring more time to find food. This slowed down progress even further, making it uncertain when anyone would build a camp and recruit their first laborer. Another thing, as Lu Yun ventured east, the number of players within 100 nautical miles dwindled. Now, only a few hundred people were left in the chat room. This meant he was approaching the edge of the newbie zone, entering uncharted and potentially dangerous waters. The sun had dipped below the horizon, and darkness was settling in. Suddenly, Joseph King, the dwarf, rushed over, shouting, "Boss! Land ahoy! I see an island." Lu Yun was instantly energized. Finally, a new resource island. Finding one in this vast ocean wasn't easy. He jumped up and looked ahead. Sure enough, a small island was visible in the distance. But wait, was that a massive sea monster nearby? Lu Yun pointed. "Joseph King, look there. Is that a sea monster?" Joseph King squinted. "Looks like a giant octopus, eating a mermaid." Lu Yun could see it clearly. An enormous octopus was wrapped tightly around a mermaid, trying to devour her. "I wanted to add a chapter yesterday, but family called and I had to help move bricks. I got back around 11 p.m., exhausted. I woke up today feeling weak and with some signs of a cold, so I was lagging behind, and only wrote 1 chapter." 0022 The opening of the divine bow. The octopus was huge, dwarfing the mermaid. Its tentacles were wrapped around her, as she struggled to break free, but it was no use. Each tentacle tightened, making escape impossible. Lu Yun frowned. He remembered seeing a similar scene yesterday, when he went into the sea, with a big octopus wrapping around a shark. How could this happen again? Was this some kind of omen? Lu Yun wondered. The mermaid, in desperation, seemed to spot the approaching turtle. She cried out, her voice weak and pitiful, "Help me, please." Lu Yun was struck by the mermaid's soft and sweet voice. He couldn't bear to watch her die. Should I save her? Is this some kind of test? Lu Yun thought, even if the octopus with the shark hadn't happened yesterday, he couldn't stand by and watch a beautiful mermaid get eaten. "Please, good people on the black turtle, save me." The mermaid's plea was desperate. The octopus had already started to drag her into its mouth. Its mouthparts were small, so it could only swallow her piece by piece. Like a snake with its prey, it would slowly feed her into its belly. the mermaid saw her tail being swallowed and lost all hope. She was doomed to die in the octopus's stomach. Lu Yun couldn't take it anymore. If he didn't act, it would be too late. He was now convinced that yesterday's encounter with the octopus and shark wasn't just a coincidence. God was hinting at him to save the mermaid today. He turned to Joseph King. "Old Jean, do you have any ideas to save her?" Joseph King shook his head. "On land, I can take on monsters like that. But I'm a landlubber. I can't do anything in the water." Lu Yun then looked at his 5 level 3 militiamen. Could they rescue the mermaid together? He asked, "If you go into the water, can you kill that octopus?" The militiamen looked at each other and hesitated. "That octopus is huge and powerful in the water. It's its home turf. Without any weapons, we can't do much." But one quickly added, "If you order us to rescue the mermaid, we'll do it, no matter the danger." Lu Yun nodded. He'd have to send them in if necessary, but first, he wanted to try the sun-destroying dragon bow, he said to Joseph King. "In the 4th warehouse, there's a legendary weapon, the sun-destroying dragon bow. Go get it." That bow was incredibly heavy. Lu Yun couldn't lift it, but just because Lu Yun couldn't lift it didn't mean Joseph King couldn't. Since he was known as the god of forging, he must be incredibly strong. Maybe he could draw the magic bow. Section 16. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Josephine's eyebrows shot up. The master just started, and he already has legendary weapons? I gotta see this. He took off toward the warehouse. He came back a few minutes later, carrying a massive red bow. Beaming, he said, "Master, I can't believe you had a divine bow like this in the warehouse. This thing is incredible. With this, taking down that sea monster is a piece of cake." Lu Yun was pumped. "What are you waiting for? Shoot it." Josephine grabbed an arrow and notched it. As he drew back the sun-destroying dragon bow, the whole thing glowed red. A huge wave of energy rolled out, making the air crackle. Even standing next to Josephine, Lu Yun could feel the raw power of the bow. It was insane. This arrow was going to be devastating. As Josephine drew the bow further, the energy intensified. A blinding red light engulfed the weapon, lighting up the night. Then, Josephine released. A bolt of crimson energy shot out like a laser, slamming into the giant octopus. 0023 What a beautiful mermaid. The sight of the sun-destroying dragon bow being drawn was epic. A flash of red, and then the light vanished into the octopus. Suddenly, the octopus's entire head turned bright red. Lu Yun was stunned. The whole head of the huge octopus glowed, a massive red bulb in the water. It was terrifying. Then, the light faded, and the octopus went limp, its muscles and tentacles useless. The octopus had already swallowed most of the mermaid. The poor thing was either too scared or too hurt, because she had passed out. Lu Yun didn't hesitate. He dove off the turtle and swam to the octopus. The 5 militiamen followed him into the water, determined to protect him. Josephine was stuck on the turtle, watching helplessly. Lu Yun reached the octopus, grabbed the mermaid, and pulled her free. Luckily, the octopus was dead, and its jaws were slack. It took some effort, but he got the little mermaid out. His men arrived a moment later. Lu Yun shouted, "Get this thing back to shore." "Yes, master." The militiamen chorused. Lu Yun swam back, cradling the little mermaid. The militiamen started dragging the octopus. By the time Lu Yun got back on the turtle, he was exhausted. He gently placed the mermaid on the turtle's back and collapsed beside her, gasping for air. The little mermaid stirred and murmured, "Thank you, human." Then she went limp again. Lu Yun lay there for a moment, touched. Even in her weakened state, she had managed to thank him. After a few minutes, Lu Yun caught his breath and sat up. He finally got a good look at the mermaid's face. Wow, her delicate features were stunning. She had a perfect little mouth, a cute nose, and long lashes. She was slender and graceful, with a lovely collarbone. Her fish tail was gorgeous, flowing like a skirt, accentuating her curves. She was flawless. The only downside was the wounds covering her body, injuries from the octopus. Some of the scales were missing from her tail. She wore emerald green light armor, like a warrior. Her face was pale, but she was beautiful. Lu Yun remembered the 9th grade healing potion he had found. Would it work on her? He figured it was worth a shot. He scooped her up and carried her to the warehouse. If he was going to save her, he was going to do it right. He grabbed the medicine bottle, took out a potion, and put it to her lips. though unconscious, she seemed to know he was trying to help. She instinctively clung to him as he held her. She swallowed the potion. Lu Yun looked at the beautiful mermaid, feeling sorry for her. He couldn't explain it, but he felt like this was meant to happen. He found a double room, set up a large wooden barrel, and placed the mermaid inside. The 5 militiamen hauled the octopus onto the turtle's back. Suddenly, a bunch more octopus carcasses popped out. 1, 2, 3, the turtle's back was quickly piled high with octopus corpses. Soon, there was barely any room left. You get 903 pounds of alien octopus meat. You get 903 pounds of alien fish meat. You get 903 pounds of alien octopus meat. You get 903 pounds of alien octopus meat. You get 903 pounds of alien octopus meat. You get alien octopus meat. Lu Yun lost count of how many octopuses had duplicated. In the end, they collected a total of 63,210 kilograms of alien octopus meat. If it had multiplied 100 times, they would have had over 90,000 kilograms. Looks like the duplication stops when the turtle is full. Section 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Every 3 rewards will get an extra chapter. It's been quiet lately, no love from the readers, no comments in the review section. The book has stalled. Is my writing really that bad? This has the young author questioning everything. If you're enjoying the story, please show your support with votes and let me know you're out there. Here's the plan for the new book launch. 0.3000 flowers will unlock an extra chapter, 300 evaluation votes will unlock an extra chapter, 30 comments in the review section will unlock an extra chapter, 10 monthly passes will unlock an extra chapter, 10 reminder tickets will unlock an extra chapter, every 3 rewards will get an extra chapter. It's been quiet lately, no love from the readers, no comments in the review section. The book has stalled. Is my writing really that bad? This has the young author questioning everything. If you're enjoying the story, please show your support with votes and let me know you're out there. Here's the plan for the new book launch. 0.3000 flowers will unlock an extra chapter, 300 evaluation votes will unlock an extra chapter, 30 comments in the review section will unlock an extra chapter, 10 monthly passes will unlock an extra chapter, 10 reminder tickets will unlock an extra chapter, every 3 rewards will get an extra chapter. 0024, Gourmet Feast, Black Turtle Level Up Mania. After getting the Little Mermaid settled, Lu Yun stepped outside. He was shocked to see a massive octopus sprawled across the turtle's back. It weighed in at over 900 pounds. The sheer size of the octopus was due to its sprawling limbs. It had a huge head and 8 widely spread tentacles, while the turtle could easily handle 100 cows weighing 900 kilograms thanks to their muscle density. This giant octopus was a different story. It took up way too much space. You have killed an alien monster and obtained its meat. Warning: all alien monsters are the result of genetic mutations. Their flesh contains factors that can cause dangerous mutations in humans. The black turtle's body is extremely stable, and it can safely consume the alien monster's meat without risk of mutation. Lu Yun took note of the warning. Humans couldn't eat this meat. Thankfully, the black turtle was immune. Its strong body could handle the mutated meat. He immediately ordered the turtle to start eating, encouraging it to eat as much as possible, and so began the feast. Your alien octopus meat, 2,200 pounds. 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 Your alien octopus meat. The black turtle devoured over 6,600 pounds of meat before finally feeling full and beginning to grow. Minutes later, its body stretched to 260 feet long and 200 feet wide. Its sailing speed reached 8.7 miles per hour, and its deck space expanded to 200 feet by 130 feet. It kept eating, consuming another 8,800 pounds of meat, and evolved again. Then came another 11,000 pounds, another evolution. Next, 13,200 pounds, and another evolution. 15, 400 lbs, 17, 600 lbs, 19, 800 lbs, 22, 000 lbs. 24,200 pounds. Finally, all the mutated octopus meat was gone. The black turtle had evolved a total of 9 times in a row. Its stats now read: black turtle species, common black turtle, dot, shell size, 460 feet x 360 feet, dot, sailing speed, 25 miles per hour, dot, deck space, 330 feet x 260 feet, dot, eating level, 0%, dot, hunger level, 0%. Its speed had increased dramatically, and its size had quadrupled. Lu Yun was ecstatic. Standing on the turtle's back now felt incredibly spacious. The amount of open space available for construction was amazing. Rescuing the Little Mermaid and defeating the giant octopus monster had been a huge win. Smelling the lingering fishy odor in the air, he told everyone, "All right, let's clean this up. Scrub the entire turtle's back." Everyone immediately set to work, giving the turtle a good bath. Lu Yun grabbed a wooden bucket, filled it with seawater, and returned to the Little Mermaid's room. He figured that since mermaids were creatures of the ocean, being in seawater would help her recovery. I left her on land without water. What if she dries out? Starved at he poured buckets of seawater into the tub until half of the Little Mermaid was submerged. I don't know how to take care of a mermaid, so this is the best I can do for tonight. The black turtle finally reached the island, found a beach, and landed securely on the shore. It was getting late, so Lu Yun decided to let everyone rest for the night. The next morning, Lu Yun woke up at dawn. He went straight to the wooden tub where the Little Mermaid was resting and found her still asleep, peaceful and serene. Her beauty was captivating. Not wanting to wake her, he went out alone. He wanted to explore the island and see what resources it had to offer. As he approached the edge of the black turtle's back, preparing to step onto the island, the 5 militiamen were already awake and by his side. "Master, are you exploring the island this early?" Lu Yun nodded. "Yes. Exploring the island is dangerous. There could be poisonous insects and wild animals. Allow us to protect you, Master." Lu Yun considered their offer and appreciated their thoughtfulness. He was their leader. If he was gone, so were they. Of course, he would do his best to protect himself. "All right, come with me. Let's take a look around the island and see how big it is." "Yes, Master." And so, escorted by the 5 militiamen, they disembarked from the turtle's back and stepped onto the beach. Just then, a notification chimed. Section 18. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You've landed on an unclaimed resource island. It could be dangerous, so watch yourself. This island's on a timer. It'll disappear in 5 days. Get back to the black turtle before that happens, or you might get hurt or lose stuff. Countdown. For days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, 0025 hunting the giant wild boar. 0025x hunting the giant wild boar. Lu Yun saw the countdown ticking away. He knew that most of these unclaimed resource islands, except for a few permanent ones, had self-destruct timers. The black turtle world doesn't let anyone hang around on an island for too long. Lu Yun crossed the beach and headed into the jungle, checking out the resources while keeping an eye out for clay. That's what he needed most. Without clay, he couldn't really advance. This island was loaded with resources, especially trees, lots of rocks too, but he wasn't sure about clay. 5 militiamen, some in front and some in the back, kept him protected in the middle. Each held a crude stone spear, which was better than nothing. They hadn't reached the other side of the island yet, meaning it was bigger than the newbie island. Suddenly, a large khaki patch appeared in the green jungle. It was a mud pit, and there was something huge wallowing in it, a massive wild boar. Way bigger than average. That mud pit must be the clay deposit. But who knew there'd be a giant boar hanging out there? Lu Yun glanced at his guards. Their weapons were useless. Those stone spears wouldn't even scratch that thick hide. Better not risk it. He'd call Josephine and have her take down the boar with the sun-destroying dragon bow. He'd seen the bow's power yesterday. A legendary weapon, no doubt. Taking down that boar should be easy. Shoo, quiet. We don't want to scare it off. Let's back away slowly. Lu Yun and his militiamen retreated quietly. He hadn't explored the whole island, but he'd found the clay. That was enough. Back on the black turtle, he woke everyone up and put them to work. He went to the pool camp, and militia camp, and hired 5 level 3 laborers and 5 level 3 militiamen. Then, he built 5 more double rooms. He sent 10 laborers to the island to chop wood, mine stone, and gather other resources. 10 militiamen patrolled. If any wild animals attacked the workers, the militiamen could handle it. Lu Yun grabbed Josephine, the sun-destroying dragon bow, and went back to the mud pit to hunt the boar. It was still there, enjoying itself, completely oblivious to the danger. Josephine drew back the bow, which glowed red. The arrow flew, a red streak that hit the boar. It started to glow, grunted a few times, and dropped. Lu Yun was impressed. The bow was insane, one arrow, and anything went down. If other newcomers landed on this island and tried to take the clay pit, they'd have a fight on their hands, but Lu Yun had solved the problem with one shot. It wasn't even a fair fight. With the boar gone, they could start mining clay. Lu Yun hired 5 more laborers for that. 0026 The Mermaid Sai Story. 15 laborers, 10 militiamen, everyone had a job. Soon, the first batch of clay was in the warehouse, and then it became 1,300 units. Clay was needed for the kiln room, but a kiln room also required thatch X500. Luckily, the island had plenty of thatch. Soon, a bunch of thatch was also sent to the warehouse. Lu Yun opened the construction panel and started building the kiln room. Wood X500, stone X500, thatch X500, clay X500. It took 5 hours to build a kiln room. Lu Yun decided to build 5. He needed clay tiles for a lot of upgrades, and they had to be made in the kiln room. As the laborers kept bringing in resources, Lu Yun built the other 4 kiln rooms. Back in the double room, he checked on the little mermaid in the barrel. She was still asleep, but her wounds looked much better, not as bloody as last night. The 9th grade healing potion must have helped. Otherwise, her injuries wouldn't be healing so fast. Usually, there'd be some infection, pus, inflammation. Lu Yun stood by the barrel, watching her sleep, and was amazed at how delicate and pretty she was. Just looking at her was relaxing. The little mermaid woke up, probably sensing someone watching her. She looked around, confused. Section 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When he woke up in a small wooden barrel, it clicked for him. He looked through blurry eyes at the tall, skinny guy standing next to it and said, "Thanks, man, for saving me." Her voice was sweet and gentle. Lu Yun was surprised they spoke the same language, but hey, better than nothing. "How are you feeling?" he asked, concerned. "Any better?" The little mermaid's eyes clouded over, remembering the nightmare of the day before. A deep sadness filled her gorgeous eyes. "I owe you my life," she sighed. "Yesterday, if you hadn't shown up, I'd be octopus chow right now." "Much better, thanks for asking." Lu Yun grinned. "No biggie. Just happened to be passing by, you know." The mermaid's brow furrowed, her face troubled. "You seem worried," Lu Yun observed. "Something on your mind?" That she was holding back, not wanting to burden a stranger with her problems. "It's just, the whole thing," she said, shaking her head. "Don't worry about it." She quickly changed the subject. "By the way, I'm Sai." "What's your name?" "Sai." Lu Yun repeated, liking the sound of it. It suited her. "I'm Lu Yun. I own this big old black turtle." "You're in Black Turtle City right now?" Sai nodded, understanding. "Thank you, Lu Yun," she said sincerely. "No need to be so formal," Lu Yun replied. "So, what were you doing out in this part of the ocean? Is your home around here? I could take you back." At the mention of home, Sai burst into tears. "This isn't my home, it's so far away. I don't think I'll ever get back." Seeing her so upset, Lu Yun couldn't help but try to comfort her. "So, you're basically homeless, huh? Well, if you don't have anywhere to go, you can hang out here for a while." No wonder she got snatched by that octopus, he thought. Poor, lonely, little mermaid. Sai's eyes widened, hope shining through the tears. "Really? You'd let me stay?" Lu Yun nodded. "Sure, why not? The turtle's got plenty of room. One more won't make a difference." Sai had been drifting for days, scared and alone. This part of the ocean was completely unfamiliar, and she didn't know a soul. Surviving out there by herself was terrifying. It was like she just grabbed a lifeline. She looked at Lu Yun, her voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you so much, Lu Yun, for taking me in. I'll pull my weight, I promise. You won't regret it." Lu Yun chuckled. He'd already decided to help her, so it wasn't about the extra food. "No big deal, **0027 Camp Development **. While Lu Yun and Sai were talking, the two cooks finished butchering the wild boar. They cleaned it in the ocean and broke it down. Chunks of meat were hauled into the warehouse, triggering a flood of notifications. You get pork x 88 pounds. You get pig blood x 23 pounds. You get pig intestines x 35 pounds. You get pork liver x 12 pounds. You get pork kidneys x 8 pounds. You get, when it was all said and done, they had over 90,000 pounds of food. That boar was a beast. After butchering, it still came in at over 900 pounds. Next up, the laborers got back to work, grinding it out, gathering resources. It was definitely the toughest gig of all the jobs. The militiamen, on the other hand, had the relatively easy task of guarding the laborers, patrolling the work areas to keep away wild animals. They just had to stay alert. Of course, that was when there wasn't a war. If things got hot, the militiamen were the first ones into the fight, risking their lives. So every job had its downsides. Everyone just did their part. 5 hours flew by, and the 5 kills that Lu Yun had ordered were finally finished. He checked the data panels and saw that they could automatically make ceramic tiles. The catch was, it was painfully slow. If he hired specialized kiln workers for the kills, they'd be cranking out pottery in no time. The kills weren't just for tiles, though. That was just the most basic thing they could make. They could also make pottery pots, bowls, plates, cups, water jugs, rice jars, pickling jars, casseroles, flower pots, the works. With the kills, living standards were about to get a serious upgrade. Lu Yun had the laborers haul clay into the kills and set them to automatically producing tiles for now. Once he had enough tiles to upgrade the tech hut to level 3, he could unlock the kiln worker. That would really speed things up. Another day passed. Dusk settled in. This afternoon, Lu Yun got a few things done. As soon as the first batch of tiles was ready, he upgraded the tech hut. It only took 500 tiles, thankfully. The city lord's hut, on the other hand, would need a whopping 2,000. So, tech hut first, unlock the kiln worker, then mass-produce pottery. He noticed wood and stone were piling up in the warehouses, more than they could use for the time being. So, he dropped another 10 warehouses. That brought the total up to 20 on the island. At the same time, the first 10 warehouses maxed out. They were fully upgraded to level 10, the highest a basic warehouse could go. Each full-level warehouse was still pretty massive, measuring 12 by 12 by 7 meters, with plenty of storage. The sight of 10 of these huge warehouses lined up in 2 rows was impressive. Then, he spent another 87,000 pounds of pork to level up the black turtle 6 more times. Its stats now read, black turtle species, ordinary black turtle, shell volume, 200 mx 170 m, sailing speed, 28 nautical miles per hour, building area, 170 mx 140 m, feeding rate, 0%, hunger rate, 0%, the black turtle was seriously huge. Standing on the island and looking at the behemoth, Lu Yun really felt like it was a monster without limits. In terms of size, it was already bigger than most aircraft carriers. But Lu Yun wasn't satisfied yet. He planned to keep feeding it until it was big enough to build a thriving city on its back. He had a long way to go before he could truly build a bustling, fully functional metropolis on the turtle's shell. As the black turtle grew, the building space on its back would expand. Lu Yun ordered 5 more double rooms. That gave him 20 double rooms and 10 single cabins, enough to house 50 people. Right now, he had 15 laborers, 10 militiamen, 1 manual worker, and 2 cooks, for a total of 28 people. Heroes weren't counted in the population, so Joseph King didn't count. Section 20. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's only been 3 days since the newbie zone opened, and Lu Yun's already got a massive territory with a fully built-up complex. Other players can only dream of that kind of progress. Lu Yun's way ahead of the curve compared to any other newcomer. As for the veterans who've moved past the newbie stage, who knows how big their black turtles are? How many structures do they have on their shells? What size armies are they fielding? Lu Yun's mostly in the dark about that stuff, but he remembers seeing a video on a huge billboard while exploring. It showed 2 gigantic black turtles duking it out. They were colossal, easily over 1 kilometer long. Then all sorts of troops started throwing down firearms, magic, artillery. They were blasting each other's black turtles, a total spectacle. Up in the sky, swarms of air units were locked in a dogfight. One side even had a special ice spraying device that instantly froze the ocean. Between them, then hordes of ground troops charged across the ice to attack the black turtles, a real slugfest. Giants, heavy cavalry, T-Rex riders, mages, you name it. The whole thing was epic. Eventually, one side got wiped out, and the winner chased down the other black turtle, destroying its city. The video was slick, showing the intense battles that black turtle city lords get into later on. Lu Yun knew he was still miles away from that level, so, time to grind. Shortly after dinner, the technician's hut finally hit level 3. The building definitely looked more refined, with a new pottery tile roof. Lu Yun immediately hired 5 kiln techs and put them on overtime to make more tiles. Sure enough, with professional kiln workers in the kiln room, the speed and quality of the pottery production jumped big time. Oh, and after the cooking tech whipped up dinner, Lu Yun brought some to Kai, the mermaid. Turns out, she wouldn't touch it. She asked Lu Yun if he could just get her some small fish instead. Lu Yun was taken aback. This mermaid eats raw fish? Then he thought, duh, she lives in the ocean, what's she gonna do, cook up fish stew? That night, Lu Yun checked in on Kai in the double room, asking how she was feeling. Kai said, I'm recovering really fast, Lu Yun. Did you give me some kind of special medicine? Lu Yun didn't hold back. When I found you, you were out cold. I saw how badly you were hurt, so I gave you a healing pill that works great for humans. I was worried it might not work on you, but it looks like it did the trick. Kai was really touched. Frowning, she said, you're so good to me, I don't know how to repay you. Lu Yun smiled and said, hey, I didn't save you so you could pay me back. I wasn't even thinking about that, so don't worry about it. Kai stubbornly pouted, but I have to repay such a big favor. I just have to. Seeing how serious she was, Lu Yun couldn't help but chuckle and say, silly girl. Kai gave Lu Yun a long, hard look. She realized he wasn't just handsome and tall, but also a really good person. She's homeless and helpless now, so maybe. She felt a stirring inside her and decided to make Lu Yun the most important person in her life. She said earnestly, actually, Lu Yun, I'm not just any ordinary mermaid. Oh. Lu Yun was intrigued. How are you different? Well, Tsai nodded. My mother always told me I was a legendary 7-color mermaid who could bring good luck to the people around me. 7-color mermaid? Lu Yun was surprised. He'd never heard of that. Yeah, but to activate my lucky ability, I have to sign a symbiosis contract with a non-mermaid. I haven't found the right person to sign with, so I haven't done it yet. Lu Yun. Tsai looked at him with pleading eyes, and Lu Yun instantly got what she was getting at. Did she just size me up and decide to sign a symbiosis contract with me? Tsai softly asked, would you be willing to sign a symbiosis contract with me? I'll bring you endless luck, my brother. Extra chapter for 300 votes. Please vote. More extra chapters every day. I don't know exactly what this symbiosis contract is, but I trust you, Lu Yun said. How do we sign? Tsai was deeply moved that Lu Yun trusted her so much, without even worrying that she might take advantage of him, so, she explained the process. It wasn't too complicated. They both pricked their thumbs to draw blood, then pressed them together. Then Tsai recited an ancient mermaid spell. After the spell, Tsai would ask Lu Yun if he was willing to live and die with her, and share his life with her from now on. Lu Yun only had to answer, I do. And that was it, the magical contract would be complete, the price. Their fates would be completely intertwined, if one of them died, the other would die too, it was a true live or die together situation, no way to survive separately, but the upside was that they'd have a clear mental link, they could sense each other's location and communicate telepathically, what you wanted to say to her, and what she wanted to say to you, could be shared directly in your mind, unlike other symbiosis contracts. Because Kai-E was a legendary 7-color mermaid, she would unlock special, unique magical abilities once she bonded with someone. That's why Kai-E wanted to sign with Lu Yun, she felt it was the best way to repay him. The ancient ritual was complete and the two signed a symbiotic contract. Lu Yun could immediately feel Kai-E's heartbeat, her emotions, her location, the sensation was incredible, something Lu Yun had never experienced before. At the same time, Tsai felt Lu Yun's strong heartbeat and blushed in embarrassment. After a moment, she relaxed a bit, looking into Lu Yun's eyes, she took the initiative to ask, how do you feel now? Any different? Lu Yun said honestly, it's really weird. I can clearly sense what you're feeling. Kai-E blushed again, her heart racing, and she shyly nodded, me too. Lu Yun could feel Tsai's racing heart. She must be shy. Huh? Tsai suddenly frowned, her expression becoming serious. I think my ability is really kicking in. I have a strong feeling that there's treasure hidden somewhere on this island. I can't say exactly what it is, though. Really? Lu Yun said, surprised. Are you already bringing me good luck? Tsai smiled, her face as radiant as a flower. It's getting dark, and the island isn't safe at night. Let's get some rest and go treasure hunting at dawn. Lu Yun agreed, it was too dark to go looking for treasure now, and not very safe either. Besides, if the treasure's on the island, it's not like anyone's gonna steal it. Postponing the hunt until tomorrow makes total sense. With the 5 kiln workers working non-stop, they should finish firing the 2,000 pottery tiles soon. Lu Yun realized he'd been busy all day. It was hot, and he'd been sweating like crazy. He should probably take a shower and then set up the city lord's cabin, so, he told Tsai, I'm gonna go take a shower first. Tsai looked confused. What's a shower? Lu Yun was taken aback. You don't know how to take a shower.